In this series, we take you on a culinary ramble through the wild foods of Britain. We'll show you how to identify them, prepare some delicious dishes that'll hardly cost you a penny, turning a stroll in the countryside into an exciting gastronomic outing. Welcome to the Forager's Field Guide.
Well, it's June, and the countryside's looking just absolutely fabulous. Green and bursting with beautiful things to go and forage for. Now, I'm off to Bath. Not the first place you might think of looking for wild foods, but Christopher tells me he's found something really interesting.
The hills around Bath are truly spectacular, with wonderful views across the city. The perfect setting to meet Christopher, my expert guide to hedgerow foods.
Hi, Christopher.
Hi.
Well, trust you to find one of the most glorious spots in the whole of the southwest of England. I mean, look at it. It's just bursting with green goodness and forager's paradise.
Indeed. Not just a beautiful day, but forager's paradise all around us. Lots of hedgerows in this area, masses of hedgerows. It's a beautiful place to start foraging in June.
What can we expect to find out there?
There'll be burdock to look at. There'll be comfrey will be peaking. There's things like herb bennet. We're going to find no more ransoms, that's finished, but we're going to find lots of sorrel. Elder is just coming into bloom. Masses of things.
Yeah, but why have you brought us to right to the edge of Bath?
Because Bath has given its name to the Bath asparagus, which is a lily, a very ancient plant, traditionally used as asparagus, looks like asparagus, tastes like asparagus, used to be sold in the markets around here, but it's now very rare. We're going to see if we can find it amongst the other plants.
Well, what sort of places one would expect to find Bath asparagus?
Well, part of the mystery, I think, if it's being uncommon now, is it's one of these relatively rare plants that grows in very, very narrow, tiny environments, little pockets.
Microclimates.
Very much so.
As we set off, Christopher reminded me of some basic foraging rules. First, always ask the landowner's permission before foraging, and make sure you know what you're gathering. Take a good field guide with you to help identify plants, and if you're at all uncertain, don't risk it. Find safe sites to forage away from roads or other sources of pollution, and only gather small quantities of each species so plants can grow back again.
This is a sort of nice shady environment where we might find some Bath asparagus.
Right. Out for the stones. What are these big plants?
Yeah, aren't they amazing?
Magnificent.
Look at that lovely vulgarness. They're burdocks. Look at that leaf.
Yeah, from dandelion and burdock?
That's the same. And just look at this amazing field. Gosh.
Do you know, I think we're going to have a bit of a field day today. Fine.
That's very good. Yeah, very good. We certainly should have a lot of choice.
No sign of Bath asparagus yet, but we did find one type of flower with a great culinary tradition.
Oh, no, I think I recognise this tree here. It's elderflower, isn't it?
It's a good old elder tree, yes, yes.
Yeah, unmistakable smell of cat's pee. Does it have any medical record, this one?
Can you guess what one of its common names is apart from elder?
Well, it's elderflower.
That's a townies naming. No, in the country it's called the people's medicine chest because every single part of the plant is used for medicine. The flowers, the leaves, the bark, the roots, and in the autumn, those lovely dark fruits, all used for medicine.
Right.
Very, very useful plant.
Well, I know it had some culinary purposes because I've been using it for years. And so can we just pick a few?
Yes, indeed. Before you pick,
Yeah.
myth and magic of the elder, you must always ask permission of the tree. Can we pick? I suppose that's yes.
Okay.
Need a good fingernail under the blossom.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Some up here. You can give it a couple more.
If you pick without permission, you get such bad luck that you'll never have a souffle rise again. Ever.
My reputation stands or falls.
You don't have to travel far to find an elder tree. They're very common at the edge of woods, in hedgerows, and they even thrive on waste ground in urban areas.
Well, I reckon that'll be enough to be going on with. So let's see what else we can find.
Go off and see what else we can find down in the fields over here.
We continued our forage beside a beautiful trout stream where Christopher spotted a patch of meadowsweet which he explained is a natural painkiller containing salicin, the main ingredient of aspirin. The leaves can also be made into a wonderfully aromatic herbal tea. Further downstream, we arrived at a meadow lush with other water-loving plants, including that age-old wonder herb comfrey.
Isn't that what we've been looking for?
It is certainly one of them, isn't it beautiful? That's one of the comfreys. This one's, you can see, it's got a white flower. Most of the ones in the traditional one is a mauvey blue flower, but you can eat all three, the white and the mauvey and the pinky one. They're slightly different species, they all intermarry, but from our point of view, it doesn't matter. They're all equally edible. And you know it's comfrey because if you grab a leaf, just feel how bristly that is.
Oh, yeah, it feels just like a sort of 3-day growth of beard.
Indeed, especially yours. It's not soft and furry like foxglove, which you can confuse it with when it's very small.
They're very similar shaped leaves, don't they?
They do, and that's why you've got to be careful to choose. But when the comfrey is this stage of growth, you wouldn't confuse it with foxglove or anything else really.
Is it fit to eat?
It is indeed. People have been eating it for centuries. But there is some concern recently because it does contain a substance, an alkaloid, called pyrrolizidine alkaloid. That's a lovely name. Well, you think of the name of
beat me over the head with science
of dishes on French menus. But there's no evidence been displayed that it's actually harmful for people to eat. There's some evidence in some trials with animals that in very, very extreme doses that there was a problem. But that was an extract of comfrey, not the leaf.
Now, does it have any medical uses?
Definitely does. For centuries, it's been used for medicine. In fact, one of its common names is knitbone, which is a clue. And it contains a substance called allantoin, which stimulates the repair of connective tissue, and that means broken bones or broken or torn tendons, even skin. It just increases the rate of repair, so you'd use it on the surface outside.
So this ancient wisdom sort of gets handed on from generation to generation?
Well, sadly we're losing it because a lot of it wasn't written down and the word of mouth is going, but it's definitely true. But what's interesting is nearly half of all our plant medicines are also reflected in pharmaceutical drugs, about 50% of which are still made from plants. But you don't use, you wouldn't find a leaf in an NHS operating theatre, but they do the extract from it.
No, okay. Well, I can see it has a lot of medical properties, but how do we make this fit to eat?
It's fit to eat already, but to make it more palatable, and an interesting link from the medical purpose to the kitchen is it was used as a stomach medicine. So like a lot of drugs, you would eat it. And this one, it's a texture as well as a flavour, and you boil it, they used to boil it, like a spinach leaf, or you can, more modern cooking, fancy uses, you could make fritters out of it and so on. And it breaks down the bristle, as you said, and just makes a very soft, very pleasant textured vegetable.
Well, if we're going to cook it and eat it, we better pick some first. So I'll get a few leaves in. Well, I reckon we've got enough there. And your word fritter has given me an idea. So I'm going to head back to the kitchen now and see what I can rustle up.
Sounds good to me. I'll see what I can find up this way.
Okay, see you later. This morning we're going to make a tempura batter, which is a very light batter for coating the leaves and the flowers that Christopher has already brought in. And the idea is to make it as light as possible so that it doesn't mask their flavour. So we've started off here with 225 grams of just plain flour, and into that I'm going to put 1 egg. We beat that in just to get things started. To this we're going to add 370 millilitres of water. Now the essential thing about the water is that it should be as cold as possible. I put actually some ice in it earlier just to make sure it was really well chilled. So we add that little by little and beat it in, and you can see it's beginning to to thin out. The idea is to have a batter which has about the same thickness as a single cream, and yeah, I think that's just about it. And so we're ready now to dip the flowers and dip the leaves and pop them in the hot oil. I felt a little bit like an alchemist as the elderflowers, clover buds and nettle leaves were instantly transformed into golden fritters before my eyes. Last, but by no means least, were the magnificent comfrey leaves, fresh from the meadow. a lovely comfrey leaf here, which I've just dipped in the batter, shaken off the excess, and in she goes into the hot oil. Puff! It all puffs up. Absolutely wonderful. You still see the green of the leaf through it. Turn it over to make sure that the top gets done just as much. And there we are. What? 20 seconds, 30 seconds later. Hey. Beautifully well fried comfrey leaf in tempura batter. Okay, there we have it. A plate of tempura, wild leaves and flowers. Oh, Christopher. Oh,
That looks amazing. Gosh.
well, help yourself. Help yourself.
I'm going to. That's rather nice.
Well, I think one of the wonderful ways about this particular, the tempura technique, it sort of seals in the flavour, doesn't it?
It's delicious. These lovely plants just roaming around in the field, you can turn them into something so exciting. And the variation in taste and texture, isn't it interesting?
It is, it is. And this sort of lovely, crunchy, crisp coating to the leaves. But the elderflower, I find that really most interesting of all, really, because I just feel, that sort of muscatty, grapey flavours. I've got some ideas what to do with that.
Right, so we certainly haven't wasted our time. And as for the Bath asparagus, which we're still looking for, I've got a couple of other sites, so we'll go and tackle those now.
Well, happy hunting.
Okay.
While Christopher continued his search for the elusive Bath asparagus, I felt so inspired by the taste of those delicious elderflower fritters that I thought it would be nice to do another dish using this early summer ingredient. And what better place to source some elderflowers than a farm where they grow them commercially? Here I was intrigued to learn about the story of one couple who was so inspired by these beautiful flowers that they used them to create a successful business.
Kid, Matthew Ford,
Oh, how do you do?
nice to see you. Well, tell me, how's the harvest going?
The harvest started a couple of days ago. It's a bit late this year. It's been cold weather.
Yeah, it certainly has been. The sun's out now very nicely. How did this come about? I mean, how did elderflower inspire you to start a business?
We started with making English wine, and then we developed into soft drinks. And elderflower was a great sample to start with because it's got a nice floral quality and it's very natural.
And do you make it by the same kind of process as winemaking?
It's very similar, actually. Yeah, it's very similar. Apart from the fact that we must stop all the fermentation, so there's absolutely no alcohol in it.
Oh, so alcohol-free?
Well, unless you put in your gin. Yeah.
Well, I must say, it's an absolutely marvellous idea of turning a wild ingredient into a major business. How big is it these days?
It's grown. We've been going about 16 years, and I know the first year we bottled 4,000 bottles of elderflower cordial and sold it in farmers' markets and things like that. And now, well, we do 40,000 bottles a day.
40,000 a day is a major local industry. Well, I'm going to do something on a slightly smaller scale, so I'll go back to the kitchen if you don't mind and see what I can do with these.
You can make your own elderflower champagne. All you need to do is place a dozen heads of elderflower in a large bowl or basin. Add the juice and zest of 2 lemons. Sprinkle with 100 grams of sugar and add a good dash of white wine vinegar. Cover with 2 litres of water. Leave this solution to stand in a cool place for a couple of weeks. Pour the liquid through a sieve and bottle it. Leave the bottles to stand for a few more days and then invite all your friends around for a party and knock it back.
While continuing my search for Bath asparagus, I discovered a variety of other early summer plants to forage. Silverweed was once used as a root vegetable before the arrival of potatoes. Clover flowers and the petals of wild roses can brighten a salad or be used to flavour teas or jams. Let's look at this wonderful, wonderful burdock, almost as high as me, 6 foot high. May and June they shoot up from foot high up to this height, and look at these lovely soft, furry leaves, grey underneath and very pale green. Later there'll be a very loose flower head that will appear from there with very small thistle-like flowers, but another characteristic for identifying it is particularly towards the base, it has these very, very large leaves, same grey underneath and soft. The part that we can eat is these lovely soft leaf stems or petioles, but very interesting plant because the root is used in dandelion and burdock beer. It's a very old traditional drink. So if we have a look at one of these leaves, it's the leaf stem that we want, and the way you do it, you just peel off this little furry outside carefully. Comes off in strings, and we can cook that like asparagus. So we'll take some of that and have it for lunch later.
Well, it's almost Midsummer's Day, and what better way to celebrate the English summer than by making one of its finest puddings, gooseberry and elderflower fool. Now, fools are a classic of the English table, but I think this is a particularly fine one because the elderflower and the gooseberries seem to bring out something in one another, just adds up, oh, I don't know, to that sort of essence of summer. So what we have here is some gooseberries, the elderflower, a little bit of sugar, custard made with real vanilla pod, and last but by no means least, the double cream. Now, it's very difficult to give exact measurements for this, and I don't think frankly one should be too bothered about it. It rather depends on how you like your fools, whether you like them sweet, whether you like them tart. I like them quite tart. I like that refreshing quality. So it's just so easy, this dish. We start off by putting the sugar into the pan. Next, in go the heads of elderflower. Now, it rather depends on how elderflowery you want your fool, but I use sort of 5 or 6 because I love that muscety flavour. So let's put 2, 3, 4. And in go the main ingredients, the gooseberries. Then I add a little splash of water just to make sure that the fruit and the flowers don't catch on the bottom of the pan. And then it's onto the hob for about 15 minutes or until the gooseberries have gone all soft and mushy. Oh, most wonderful smell of elderflower and gooseberry. And they're all nice, soft and mushy, ready to be mashed up. Okay, the next stage is to remove the stalks of the elderflower from the gooseberries. Now, you leave some of the flowers behind, and I don't think that matters a little bit. If your friends or family notice, you can just point out that you have made these with elderflowers picked by your own fair hand. Okay, we just get rid of all of that. I think that's the lot. Oh, wait a minute. There's another one tucked away down there. Ow. There we go. We decant these into the bowl. There's no need to really be so sophisticated, putting food into a food processor or anything. Just mash it up with a good old fork. Wait till it's all nice, good sloppy mess, and you can still, smell that elderflower. Just comes through, wafts out. Right, next stage, the custard. Not too much. You don't want the custard to drown this rather quite delicate flavour of elderflower and gooseberry. So it's just there to add a bit of body to it. And stir that in, work it round. Well, I think that's the custard just properly worked into the gooseberries, and it's ready for the double cream. I whipped it a little bit earlier. As you can see, it's pretty thick. It just pours. It's not too stiff. It just pours, rather like lava. And so we're going to scrape that in. Right, well, there we have it. The cream's all been nicely stirred in as well. And a final touch, just to make sure everybody knows what the secret ingredient is, a little sprig of elderflower on top. Now, that's going to go into the fridge for a couple of hours to really chill down and get those flavours all sorted out and melded together. And after that, I think we'll take a little helping down to Christopher, who's somewhere out there, and see how he's getting on. There, Christopher.
Hello, Matthew.
Any luck on the Bath asparagus front?
I certainly have at long last found some wonderful specimens.
Fantastic.
Looking beautiful.
Well, I've got a bit of a triumph of my own.
That looks interesting. Come on, I'll show you.
Okay. Is this organic?
This is all organic.
It's not surprising that Bath asparagus is hard to find, as it was picked to near extinction in the past. Christopher had to search all along the Avon Valley before he came across some specimens growing in the corner of a field just south of the city.
Hard to spot, and in fact if we look carefully around, here's where I saw one before. Here we are, over here, look. Look at this.
So that is the Bath asparagus.
That's the Bath asparagus. And see, that's what they would pick, that 9 inches or so, and you can see on the top the very tight flower bud, which is looking just like an asparagus spear.
It's not going to feed
that's
many,
right.
is it?
One won't, but they don't grow in thick clumps. They would grow scattered, and you would pick 8 or 10 or so, as you would for an ordinary asparagus. But
Does it grow widely around here?
well, they're common in this particular area, but not everywhere. And of course, what they used to do was search for them and take them off into the market. This is now a very, very young shoot. It actually grows 2 foot high, and this spike opens up to about 6-8 inches high with beautiful white flowers on it. It's a very, very attractive plant.
Can we pick this and pick a few more and take them away and have a bit of a...
No, it's not actually a rare plant, but it's a protected plant in the area, and they're trying to regenerate it because it'll disappear very easily. So we're not going to pick it. We're just enjoying this glorious plant and thinking of history.
Well, all right. History may be all right for you, Christopher, but I need something a bit more solid to get my teeth into. So why don't we try a spoonful or two of this absolutely delicious gooseberry and elderflower fool that I made a bit earlier. Tell me what you think of that. Smells of summer to me.
Smells of summer, smells of elderflower. Taste of gooseberry, that's wonderful, isn't it?
Rich and creamy. I think
Isn't
it's
that an interesting combination?
wonderful.
Aroma with that taste of gooseberry.
It's a real traditional combination. And I think that sort of floweriness of the elderflower just brings out the sort of fruity qualities of the gooseberry.
Because the gooseberry is also very aromatic, really, aren't they?
And there's no pudding that isn't made better by a bit of cream.
Oh, it's good for the coronary arteries.
Join us next time when we'll be foraging for wild herbs in the Forest of Dean, both to cook with and to turn into effective home remedies.